Everyone in United States was shocked when five children of same family, to be more specific, five siblings suddenly disappeared from their house without any trace. The picture of those five children were pasted on the billboards and hoardings everywhere in the city from where they had disappeared. Even a reward of $10,000 was also announced by their parents for the person who gives the information or any clue about these five children. But months became years, years became decades. Those children were never found. For 40 years, their photos were on the billboards in hope that someday someone could find them. In this much time, they might have become grown up adults, probably. They will be in their mid 40s or early 50s, but they still were never found. Nothing was known about them, whether they have been kidnapped or are they even alive. For that, we should go back to the day of the Christmas Eve in 1945 in the Fayetteville, West Virginia, USA, where a trucking company owner, George Sauder, and his wife, Jenny Sauder, along with their 10 children, were preparing for the Christmas. Yes, you heard it right. Sauder couple had 10 children in total in 20 years of their marriage. It is obviously that such a big family will be living in an enormous house. Although they had 10 children, out of which only 9 were there at that night of Christmas Eve. Their elder son had joined the army and was on duty. He was not at home at that time. All remaining 9 children were enjoying the Christmas Eve and opening gifts along with their parents, George and Jenny, until 12:30 a.m. at night, when everyone went to sleep in their respective rooms on different floors. Everything was normal until Jenny heard a banging sound. Around 1 a.m. in night, she felt that something was burning. Then she saw smoke rising from her room. She woke George and he then woke his elder sons, and they desperately screamed to the children sleeping upstairs. But they heard no response back. They could not go upstairs as the stairway itself was already on fire. Both parents and 4 of their children, Marion, Sylvia, John and George Jr., managed to escape as they had no other option, leaving behind their remaining 5 children. Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny and Betty, all aged between 14 and 5 years. They all reached outside. George tried to climb the house outside wall only to injure his hands. Still, he and his sons tried everything to save rest of their family. They even tried to reach the window with ladder, but walls were so hot that it was impossible to do anything. Their neighbors even called the fire brigade, but nobody picked up the phone. The fire broke out around 1 o'clock at the night, but the fire truck arrives 8 o'clock in the morning. There was nothing in their hands they could do to stop that fire. Even the water was frozen in this cold weather of December. They had no choice but to watch their house burn down and collapse. Although in this cold weather, fire lasted only for 45 minutes, but the damage was done. Their house was completely charred. When the fire brigade team arrives in the morning, situation was brought under control. An entire house was searched, but none of these 5 children were found. Everyone thought that those 5 children might have burned in the fire, but in the search by the authorities, no pieces of human flesh or bones was found inside that house. It was like children were not even in that house at the time of fire. Their bones and other remains should be found, but there was no trace at all. Now here the real story begins. When the chief of fire and police department were asked about this mysterious vanishing of those 5 children, they said that it is possible that the flames of fire was strong enough to burn any remains completely, and all 5 children have died in the fire. But the parents, George and Jenny, were not ready to believe this. They kept saying that if they had died, then some evidence should be found, some bone pieces or body remains should be found in the house. But the most shocking thing was revealed when the person who repairs the telephone line arrives. He tells Sauder couple that their telephone line has not been damaged due to fire, but someone has intentionally cut their telephone line. Now they were wondering who could have cut their telephone line. While they were still thinking about this, they discovered another shocking thing, that their car was deliberately damaged in such a way that it was not starting at that night of fire. Now all these things were pointing towards some conspiracy. Family members were worried. The next day, this news was published in all the newspapers, along with pictures of those 5 children. After reading that newspaper, Seeing those photos, a lady witness came up and claimed to see 4 to 5 children on the morning of day when the fire broke out, about 50 miles away from that house. And all children were looking very scared. There were 2 males and 2 females along with them. In spite of all these claims and facts, police was not interested in this case. For them, all children have died in the fire. In fact, the state issued a death certificate for all 5 children on the 30th December. This case was officially closed for them, but the Sodder family still believed that their children are alive. They reached FBI, but FBI said that we can help the local police in that case. We cannot directly investigate the matter. The parents again went to the local police. The local police did not show much interest, and so FBI also did not investigate this matter. After this, they hired private detectives, but there was no difference, no benefit. The question is still remained unanswered. Are those kids still alive? If yes, who took them? Who kidnapped them? If no, where are their bodies? For months they remained clueless, but they still hope that they will find their kids someday. In this hope, they put up the hoardings in the city about their kids. Initially, a reward of $10,000 was also kept for anyone who gives any information about these kids. This billboard remained standing for many years, seen by all but noticed by no one. But one day suddenly, after a couple of years in 1950, George saw a newspaper published from New York, and what he saw in that newspaper was a picture of a 5-year-old girl performing in a school function. He thought that this girl is his daughter Betty. George ran to New York with his wife Jenny, only to find that girl only looks like Betty, not their daughter Betty. They became happy for a while, only to be swallowed by sadness once again. More than 20 years passed. Year 1967 arrived. No information was found about them. But one day Sodder family received a letter that came from the Central City, Kentucky. But the sender had not written his address on it. When George opened the letter, there was a photo inside it of a young man in his 30s. On the back side of the photo, it was written, "This is your son, Louis Sodder." When Louis disappeared in that fire incident, he was only 10 years old. Now, after 20 years, he must be 30 years old. On seeing Louis's photo, the parents felt that this is their son because he had the same dark curly hair, dark brown eyes, same face and same look. Now they were confirmed that this is their son Louis. After getting this photo, a ray of hope arose among the Sodder family that maybe they will be able to find their son. The family hired another private detective to go to the Central City, Kentucky and look into this. But that detective never reported back to the Sodders and they were unable to locate him. Then George started investigating about it himself, but he did not find any clue anywhere in Kentucky about this man in the photo. They were left clueless and helpless again. Time passed. In year 1969, George Sodder died. After George, his wife Jenny continued to search for next 20 years until 1989, when she also died. During their lifetime, Sodder couple received numerous telephone calls and letters about their lost children, but most of them were pranks and rest of them were misunderstanding. They never got any information close enough to find any of their children. After both parents died, this billboard came down as there was no one to take care of it. All the remaining Sodder children grew up and have their own families to take care of. Some believe that 5 Sodder kids might have become the victim of Italian mafia, as George was an Italian immigrant and was a critic of Benito Mussolini. The Italian mafia members did this to punish him. It was also speculated that these kids were abducted and sold, possibly in an underground trafficking ring. No solid evidence supports this theory, but child trafficking was a reality in that era. Today, this case remains unresolved even after 80 years, with numerous theories surrounding the fate of Sodder children. What are your thoughts on this case? Comment your opinion below. See you again in some other video.